This next part is about the male reproductive system. And it is basically cut and dry. It's the different parts, and and they do different things, and what their function is. So one of the parts is the testes, and this is a series of ducts, accessory glands, and supporting structures. These ducts include the epididymis, the ducta deferens, and the urethra. So the accessory glands include the seminal vesicles, the prostate gland, and the bulbourethral glands. Supporting the structures include the scrotum and the penis. So this slide is the one that you just kind of sums it all up. Here's an image of the different parts. You can see that the scrotum has the testes, the epididymis, and the part of the ductus deferens, and the urethra. See that part? And the glans penis is the outer part. You have your bladder. Kind of everything's connected in males. So your scrotum has the testes, and it has the dartos muscle that moves the scrotum and testes close to and away from the body depending on the temperature. So the colder it is, the closer it gets to the body. And the sperm must develop at temperatures less than normal body temperatures. The cremaster muscles are an extension of the abdominal muscles and contract and pull the testes nearer the body. So the testes are the primary reproductive organ in the males. It produces sperm, and it's in the scrotum, and the sperm is in the seminiferous tubules. It has the interstitial cells that secrete the testosterone. So that's important, where the testes do the testosterone. So the names kind of match. They have germ cells that the sperm arise from, and they also have the sustentacular cells that nourish the germ cells and produce hormones. So this slide is important. This is what those testes do, and they're kind of important. And testicular cancers is where it rises from, and that occurs mostly in younger males, usually in their 20s and 30s. That's when I've seen it. And so before they start chemotherapy, they will have the male produce sperm and save it if they want to have a family later on and after the chemotherapy. Spermatogenesis is formation of sperm cells. Bing, that's it. Begins in puberty, increases in number and size. It's in the seminous tubules and large, and this is where the germ cells and the sustentacular cells are formed. So it goes a little bit more in depth from the testes. So this is the order that things form from. They go from germ cell to spermatogenea. They go to primary spermatocytes, secondary spermatocytes, spermatotids, and then they go to sperm cells. And here's a picture of it. Sperm has the head, which is contains the nucleus and the DNA, which is important to know. Then it's got its body and contains the mitochondria. Remember, the mitochondria is the powerhouse, the energy. And then the tail is just for movement, so it can swim upstream. The epididymis is the thread-like tubules on each side of the testes, where seminiferous tubules empty new sperm. Where sperm continue to mature, develop the ability to swim and to bind to eggs. Now you got your ductus deferens, better known as vas deferens. Extends from the epididymis and joins the seminal vesicle, and that's what you cut during a vasectomy when you don't, instead of the women having their tubes tied, the men get their tubes tied. And it's just an office procedure, and it's sort of painful, but not, from what I heard, it's not that great a pain, but just you don't like people touching you down there. Then you have the seminal vesicles. They're sac-shaped glands near the ampulla of each ductus deferens. The ductus from the seminal vesicles and the ampulla of the ductus form the ejaculatory duct. And each ejaculatory duct enters the prostate glands and joins the urethra. So that's an important little part of the male reproductive system. It's very, very important for the actual reproduction. The urethra extends from the urinary bladder to the end of the penis and is a passageway for urine and male reproductive fluids such as semen. So your next piece is the penis and corpus cavernosum, the corpus spongiosum, and spongiourethra are three columns of the erectile tissue which fill with blood for erection. And this happens, helps with the transfer of sperm from male to female. It excretes urine. And distal in the penis is called the glans penis. And the urethra opens to the exterior as the external urethral orifice, which is, the same as in the female. Then the prostate gland surrounds the urethra. It's the size of a walnut, but as men get older, many times it gets larger and larger, and sometimes they have to have it decreased in size or removed because of the because it keeps pressing on the bladder, and men have to continuously have to urinate. And it seems like it happens more at night, and it's just you don't get a good night's sleep. So many times, whether it's cancer or it's enlarged, it'll either be removed or shaved to a smaller size. The bulbourethral gland, you can also get cancer in the prostate. The bulbourethral gland, small mucus secreting glands near the base of the prostate gland. And here's the male reproductive system again. I would take a look at it. And the structure of the testes and the sperm. And here's some more images, kind of a cut through. Ventral surface, you can see what it looks like inside, where you see the cavernosa, spongiosum, and the spongy. So semen has a mixture of sperm and secretions, and this is a medium that transports nutrients that protect and activate the sperm. And 60% is in the seminal vesicles, 30% in the prostate gland, 5% in the bulbourethral gland, and 5% is in the testes. The seminal vesicles provide sugar, fructose. They can have the prostaglandins, which decrease mucus thickness around the cervix and the uterine tubes and help the sperm move through the female reproductive tract. And it also contains coagulants that help deliver semen into the female. And you got your prostate gland is enzymes that liquefy the semen and neutralizes the acidity of the vagina, which is super important. Bulbourethral gland neutralizes the acidity of the male urethra and female vagina. So both of those are pretty important. Secretions, 2 to 5 milliliters of semen is ejaculated each time, and 1 milliliter contains 100 million sperm. So do the math. Sperm can live for 72 hours once inside the female. Path of the sperm. They develop in the seminous tubules, the testes. They mature in the epididymis and the duct deferens, and then they receive secretions from the seminal vesicles, prostate, and the bulbourethral gland. Urethra is where the sperm semen exits the body. You got male sex hormones, and they're the gonadotropin releasing hormone, and they're produced in the hypothalamus and secrete LH and follicular stimulating hormone. LH is a luteinizing. It's in the anterior pituitary and stimulates the testosterone that's in the brain. And follicular stimulating hormones is produced in the anterior pituitary and prompts spermatogenesis. So that's important that you know it's the anterior pituitary where these three hormones are produced. Well, one is, the other one's in the hypothalamus. And male puberty is a sequence of events and begins at 12 to 14, ends around 18. And testosterone, of course, is a major hormone. And you develop the secondary characteristics such as skin texture, fat, hair, skeletal muscle growth, and your voice changes. Testosterone is produced in the interstitial cells in the testes and involved in development and maintenance of reproductive organs. Inhibin is secreted by the seminiferous tubules and inhibits follicular stimulation secretion. So good to know about those two. Another image to see where everything happens. And of course, the male sex act depends on erection of the penis, emission down the urethra, and ejaculation. And the act is usually normally interpreted as pleasurable and intense orgasm, both for the female and the male. And a phase called resolution occurs after ejaculation, in which the penis becomes lesser and lesser stiff and becomes more placid, and you have an overall satisfaction. And the male is unable to achieve erection and a second ejaculation. I don't know. Sometimes that it occurs soon after. Some males are able to do that. Penile erection is the first part of the sex act, and you have neural stimuli with the penis enlarged and becomes firm. Specifically, parasympathetic action potentials from the sacral region of the spinal cord cause the arteries that supply blood to the erectile tissues to dilate. So that's important to know. That's parasympathetic. It's in the sacral region of your spinal cord, and it causes the tissues to dilate. And then you ejaculate, and emission is accumulation of sperm cells and the urethra. Well, it's not quite ejaculation, but it's coming, and causes reproductive tracts to contract and stimulate the vesicles and the prostate gland to release secretions. So once these semens accumulate, then you have ejaculation. And that's contraction of the smooth muscle, and are sent to the skeletal muscles that surround the penis. And it's kind of rhythmic contractions that men have. And muscle tension increases throughout the body. Now the part 3 will be the female.